Welcome back, Rebels. You are tuned in to Financial Rebellion, the podcast to help ignite the fire of innovation and entrepreneurship in each of you. I'm your host, Todd Romer, here to help you turn your passion into profit or transform a brilliant idea into a booming business. Each week, we explore actionable strategies, insightful tips, and inspiring stories of those who are actually doing it. We're all about helping you create and elevate your own new revenue streams. So let's get rebellious and make those dreams a lucrative reality for you. Now let's jump in to this week's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Financial Rebellion Podcast, where we help you learn how to not only do money differently, but also earn money. Maybe that's starting in that side hustle. Maybe it's starting that business that you've always thought about and taking it to a new level. So this week's episode, we're very thrilled to have a guest on who's coming to us from Florida, but he lives in LA. And so we'll get into this, talking to this guest here in a moment. But I want to also thank our sponsors out of the gate, as I always do. Acorns is a primary sponsor of Financial Rebellion. There's no question, if you want to begin investing with as little as $5, $10, $20 a week or month or more, Acorns is a wonderful place to begin investing. And there's a link in the bio in the section of this podcast where you can earn a $40 bonus. Plus, we're fans of credit unions. Financial Rebellion helps credit unions stand out amongst other financial institutions. And we're thrilled to have Kemba Credit Union and Alabama Credit Union as sponsors of the podcast. All right. Bri Stevens coming to us from Florida. And Bri, we've met a couple of times, right?
Yep.
And just learning more about your story was fun. Just an exchange of an email that we had a few days ago, sharing more detail about how you got to where you are today. So again, welcome to Financial Rebellion Podcast, Bri Stevens.
Thanks. It's good to be here. I love that I've been able to obviously be friends with Jack over the last almost 10 years, and you're doing your thing. So it's cool to be here and share some good insight, some good value.
Fantastic. Great. I'm looking forward to hearing more of your story, and our listeners can be, I think, very inspired by your story. And you mentioned Jack, so that's my oldest son, Jack. That's how I know you. And also a fellow entrepreneur that had his hills and valleys and where he's been. And he was on a few episodes ago. All right. So before I ask you about your business, your side hustles, and all the things that you got going on, because man, you got a lot going on. We like to ask our guests this question. Tell me your dumbest money move first over the last, say, 10 years or 5 years, and your smartest money move. So start with your dumbest money move that you've made in the past.
So dumbest money move I've ever made, hands down, will probably always be my dumbest money move, was buying a Range Rover when I had a little bit of money. And I bought this car. All my friends told me not to buy it. They were like, Range Rovers are bad. The service is going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive to maintain, even if you don't have, issues with the car. And I bought it, and they were right. And I ended up paying more in the damages and the servicing than, within a year than the total cost of the car, because there was just numerous issues with it. So lesson learned, you don't need a nice car until you have a lot of money. They're a pit of spending, especially when they're nice, and it doesn't matter. I think it's more of a flex to have more money than a nice car now. So lesson learned.
I love that. More of a flex to have more money than a nice car, right? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we've all been there, done that. So what's your best money move that you've made when you were younger?
The best money move I made was in 2020, where I wasn't even really trying to make a money move, but I made a jersey in my basement, and then it was really nice. I started wearing it around, spent like $400 on it. It's like the next high quality hockey jersey that, I really liked and appreciated. And I started wearing it around, and then my friends were like, where did you get this from? And then that stemmed into it being a multi-million dollar company with 25 employees and 160 to 170,000 units sold at a $150 to $210 price point. So we really cracked the code with that jersey, and it was just because it was a high quality, very expensive, well done item, and our space hadn't seen that before. So not an intentional
Wow.
money move, but that's the best one I have so far.
Well, that sounds pretty amazing. Selling a piece of apparel for 150 to $200. Uh,
Yep.
the niche, man, that you created there. Well, let's get into some of your businesses that you started,
Yeah.
but I always like to hear too. Where did you grow up? Tell everybody where
Yep.
you grew up.
So I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is like the southwest part. It's about the midway point between Chicago and Detroit. I grew up in an awesome family. I was adopted, and I grew up with some awesome parents who just let me do whatever I wanted to do when I turned 18. So I love them. They're awesome. I love my hometown. Everybody kind of knew everybody. It was very like small dream, you know, simple living where I'm from. And yeah, my parents were awesome. My siblings, cousins, they all mean well. They're simple people just living life.
Uh, Love to hear all that, man. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of your businesses. You have a business called Offbeat, and it's an electronic
Mhm.
music industry. And I'm not, the most aligned with that genre, but that's EDM, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Electronic music predominantly.
Okay. Tell us about what you do for Offbeat and how that started, because your third business I'm going to talk about in a little bit is pretty amazing, but I just wanted to start off with that one. So what do you
Yeah.
do with it's called Offbeat. So what do you do with the electronic music industry?
Yep. So at Offbeat, we would host these little rooftop party meetups in Denver through our apparel company because we started that first. And then the rooftop parties gained a lot of like popularity and they're really cool. And we'd have 100 people up there having a great time with a DJ. And then one of our buddies was like, dude, you should sell tickets to this. Like, this is awesome. And I was like, well, I don't really know if I want to do that. It wasn't something that was on my radar. I was just trying to bring people together to have a good time. I ended up taking his advice because we threw like five more and then kind of just like drilled it into me. And then we did a warehouse party for 200 people. It sold out in like 10 minutes. And then that was in 2021. And now we throw full scale events for electronic artists who come into Red Rocks and Mission Ballroom, predominantly after parties. And then we work with a big company called AEG, where we throw the regular hours events a few times a year with them. We've done concerts from 200 people, and then we're doing our biggest concert with AEG under a bridge in Denver, which we're hoping to see anywhere between 8 and 10,000 people show up. So from the course of 2021 to now, it's it's a full scale operation where we own some lighting. We have a great production team. We have a great marketing team, and our niche or our jam has been putting way too much production in a tiny space where a fan walks in and they're like, "How is this happening? Like, why is there so many lasers and lights and strobes and um, you know, in a tight space with 360-degree view on the DJ?" And through that, everyone started loving it, sharing it, and now we've gotten bigger over the last couple of years, and I think we have about 26 or 27,000 followers on Instagram. And yeah, it's just a side project. It's something fun that we do. We don't make a lot of money from it yet, but it's just something that we love to do, just because we're throwing parties for 100 people in the
That's
BDA.
that's fun. How you said, yeah, my original intention was just to bring people together, and then
Yeah,
it turned into a little more than that, right?
yeah, yeah. And like, I don't want to say that like oh, you're so lucky because your friend told you to sell tickets to these, and like you wouldn't be here without your friend. It's like, well, there's preparation involved to make it legit once we had the opportunity. So it's like we uh we had the opportunity. We realized that we could sell a lot of tickets, and to maximize the experience for everybody, we went hard on making sure that the experience was the best that it possibly could be in our area. And for 4 years, as far as after parties goes, and a lot of people would say it is. And we really care about making sure that the experience for the fan is as best as it possibly can be with what's in our budget.
That is fun to hear, and I'm sure at age 18 you had no idea you'd be doing what you're doing right now.
No idea.
You're pushing 30. Am I in that right
Yep.
age?
I just turned 32.
So super young still, but this all started. So then get back to the before we get into the propaganda, which is not the actual term that people think, but that's what you name that you created with two P's, and
Yep.
very amazing business. And I've seen some of this, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But you talked about that apparel company earlier, and that's called Elevate Designs, correct?
Yeah.
Elevate
Yeah.
08 Designs.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. And so tell me who is buying, and this is the fun part about niche marketing, niche businesses. Who is buying $150 to $200 uh basically what jerseys, if you will, right? So who's that niche?
Yeah. So it's predominantly fans who, it just depends what the brand, like what the jersey is, right? But predominantly from what we've done so far is the electronic music fan who goes to festivals from age 18 to 40.
Okay.
But we do different types now. We have licenses with Fizz and Crunchyroll and Blizzard and Activision, and we're working on something with Call of Duty. So it's like that should change over the next couple of years. But our jam has been selling high quality jerseys to fans who really love the idea of collecting them or hanging them on their walls or getting them signed, and just showing the people, who are showing people or fans or groups how many they have. And it's like a collector's item. And we really kind of made the hockey jersey a staple for fans to be able to collect them. That's kind of been our jam. There's baseball jerseys were around, but high quality hockey jerseys where we cared about the cut and sew, the stitching, the silicone shield, all the details on them, the sublimation. That's
Yeah,
something that we did. You know, we brought that to
that's
our
cool.
space, and that's why people are
That's
spending money on.
relatable to me. I've been seeing hockey fans, right, with spending a lot of money on their Pittsburgh Penguins jersey or Detroit Red Wings jersey. That makes a ton of sense that you had that kind of following and using that as a replication. That's cool. So, okay, let's get into, I mean, your businesses are pretty cool, but this one takes the cake. Uh, you record live music in what you call bizarre places
Mhm.
with
Yeah,
a business called Propaganda.
yeah.
You tell the story, uh, and then certainly share your Instagram because listeners need to go to your Instagram to see you literally DJing in the Bahamas underwater with sharks swimming all around you.
Yeah.
Tell
So
us more about
I'm
how that started.
Yeah, so I've been before I started throwing events and making merch, I've always made beats and music. Making music is something that I love. it's 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 the reason why I dropped out of college. I actually quit college after my first concert that I played. Um, Saw a fan in the front having an unreal amount of time. They were loving it. I was playing in front of a couple thousand people. I That was one of my first concerts. I ended up, you know, seeing the amount of joy that this place was just creating, right? And I was instantly hooked. And this was at a point where I didn't know if I wanted to finish school, or I didn't know if I wanted to you know, be what, most people kind of like tell you that you need to be, like go get a job or go work for somebody, learn a trade, etc. And so I had
Yeah.
changed my
And
major like
how
five
how
times.
old were you at this time?
I was 20. So I'd done the school thing, and I really tried. Like I changed my major 4 times. I listened to advisors, and they told me to do this, do that, and whatever. And I just couldn't do the classroom thing. I don't know why. Um, and so I started making beats, and then I started DJing, and then I played a concert, and I saw this fan in the front just have the time of her life. and it was a Life in Color concert. It was a paint party. And essentially, I know you probably don't know what this is, but the Life in Color parties, they would take these big spray paints or spray tubes of paint and just shoot people in the crowd. And so I'm on stage, I play like a song. I look up in the crowd for the first time and I just saw this fan just getting blasted by paint, loving every second of it. I literally looked at my friend, like because we were playing together. And I thought to myself, like, man, there's no way I'm ever going to school again. Like, I know I'm going to figure this out. I just don't know how. And so I ended up dropping out of college. I got a summer job, which essentially funded my music school. I went to music school out in LA for a year. Came back to Denver because it was just easier for me to afford to live there. LA is really expensive. I didn't have a lot of friends. It's very intimidating as like 21-year-old kid. And so I went back to Denver and then kind of got my feet underneath me and started to figure out life a little bit more. And the reason why it's taken me so long to release this is because I wanted it to be perfect for me to be able to share, something that I think fans will like, and to make it polished enough. And I love marketing. I love doing crazy things, and I love making things be more. I'm just an extra person, like just to, without even getting down the rabbit hole of, why I do the things that I do. I love entertaining people. I love, doing things that have never been done before. Right. So I've been sitting and thinking about how for the last, 6 years or so, how could I do that with this project and stand out in a world full of content creators who are just, amazing at what they do, but also just like grabbing everybody's attention, right? So like in 2025, how do you do that? Like, how do you launch something and get people to say, whoa, what is this? Right. And so growing up, me and my friend Casey, who set all that up, because it was honestly his idea, we grew up on a lake or near a lake. We would go swimming with these, snapping turtles and whip them out of the water and show our parents that we would catch these like wild animals. And me and Casey did a lot of dumb stuff when we were growing up. Like we were dumb. I'll just put it that way, right? We always did reckless things. And so I got on a call with him. He's a wildlife photographer now, travels the world, does all these like excursions with people in Alaska, and he's in the Amazon doing crazy stuff all the time, right? And I called him and I was like, hey, like I'm about to launch my music project. Let's collab on some content together. And that way you can be a part of this launch, because when he was getting into trouble, I was getting into trouble as well. Then we kind of split for a while. I found music and he found a camera, right? So I wanted to like bring that together where we both kind of like came to our senses and found our thing. And so he goes, I have the perfect idea, but I don't know if you're going to be down to do it. And I was like, what? He was like, let's do an underwater shark diving set in the Bahamas with my friend Tanner, and we'll sink a DJ table to the bottom, and we'll record a set, and then we'll chum the water and you can DJ around the sharks. And I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh man, absolutely, let's do it. So I give him all the credit. He's the one who came up with the whole idea and like orchestrated it, helped me put it together. And it's just so on brand with like, and I share the backstory because like I just want people to know that I've been doing stuff like this my whole life. This isn't a clickbait AI generated thing that like, I'm using to push my music. This is like something that me and one of my best friends came up with together, where we've been doing this stuff our whole life, and we wanted to really like, make a statement with the project, because I think that's what you need to do nowadays to stand out, right? And so we ended up doing that, and it was the craziest day of my life, one of them. And he came up with the whole thing. He set me up with the guy who owns the boats in the Bahamas. He knows the two shark divers who helped film. One of them runs a nonprofit, so we were able to raise $2,000 for the nonprofit, which was pretty cool. And then I essentially prepared about an hour's worth of music, where I was DJing on the top, and then we sunk the DJ table to the bottom with 40-pound sandbags, and then there was
Okay,
about
hold
40
on.
sharks.
Time out real fast
Yeah.
on a timeout.
Yeah, yeah.
How deep was the water that you sunk the DJ table?
It was 50 feet, 40 to 50 feet.
I mean, the I have not seen anything on the quote internet. I've never seen anything like this from any
Yeah.
entertainer. And not that I know that world, I'm not your best person to ask, but I can't imagine there's anything out there like this where you're literally DJing underwater with sharks around. Is there anything that you have seen close to this?
Um, as far as DJ content goes, I don't think so. And that's kind of like our angle. It was like once he told me the idea, I was like, all right, I'm down. Let's do this. And then I like took a minute and I was like asking, I was like, is this two influencers in the wild? No, we're working with this person, this person, this person. They run a nonprofit. Like these are the guys. I was like, okay. Has anyone ever done it before? No. And how can we make it not corny? Right. Because like the last thing we want is a DJ to go shoot a set somewhere and it looks mad corny. Right. Like you want it to be cool and like badass X Games vibes and like this is sick. And so we did our research. We hadn't seen anything like it. And like, I really take pride in doing things that haven't been done before. Obviously, DJs have played sets in cool places, but I wanted to be the DJ that does it in extreme places with professionals, trained by professionals, to where it's done right and it can really entertain somebody or like make somebody watch it and go, man, I haven't seen something like this before. And then that to us is
Yeah.
mission accomplished.
I love how you shared the background of growing up with Casey, your friend Casey, and you would do dumb stuff in lakes or whatever, and that this isn't just let's just go do a one-off here. This has been inside of you since childhood,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal. Uh, okay, so then share what your next idea is when it comes to we have underwater, and now you're talking about doing something in the air. Share more about that one.
Yeah, so our next set, we're doing a balloon set where we're going to be attached to a well, the hot air balloon's going to be shot up 6,000 feet up in the sky. We're going to be attached to a platform that's 15 by 15, and I'm going to play a set on this platform um, above the clouds. And so the cool part about that one is two of my friends that are doing it. One of them has known about our apparel company for a while, and he's a professional diver. He's done a bunch of jumps and everything. He's going to bring his buddy, and then we're going to work with two locals. But the reason why we really liked this idea was because we'd seen DJs shoot on a balloon. You know, you can do a balloon set, throw the DJ set depths in the basket, shoot a set, no problem. It'll take 2 hours to set up, right? But I think art should be when you're releasing it or creating it, whether it's content or music. For me, I think that it should be if I'm releasing this hasn't been done before, has this content been created before, has somebody already done this, you know, in a similar fashion. And if that answer is yes, then like you should go back to the drawing board and put your own spin on it. So that way we can have more art that is more unique and more custom and more, you know, what's the right term for it? Just different, you know, so that way fans cannot
Yeah.
be tired of seeing the same old stuff all the time, right? And so we're gonna do that one in Brazil in 2 weeks, and I'm pretty pumped. We have 4 divers that will be on that platform. I have a bunch of artists who've sent me unreleased music that they're going to have featured on the balloon, and we're going to shoot up in the sky and play for 45 minutes and shoot right back down.
Will you have parachutes on?
Yeah, yeah, everyone's a professional diver, stuntman. They do their, I'm not really like, they do their base jumps, their skydiving, everything's very like, you know,
Wow.
you even have to like, the cool part is they even need to know all the way down to the last like pound, how much weight is on the balloon. Um, we're doing smoke bombs and um, it's not like a firework, but it's kind of like a firework thing up there. It's gonna be insane. So
Wow. So what I'm hearing as this podcast episode, my quick summary is that you've been creative since you were a young boy, and what doesn't,
Hmm.
what we all are creative in some form or fashion growing up. And God, then we get to quote real life or college. And then some of us think, well, we just got to do that. All right, go to school 4 years, then get a job. Nothing wrong with that, right? But
Right.
there is a lot of us that, like you, that go, wait a minute, I just try something else, a passion or something I just love to do. How can I monetize it? And you've done that. So
Hmm.
along the way, as we wrap up in the next few minutes or so, again, this episode brought to you, a Financial Rebellion brought to you by Acorns and Kemba and Alabama Credit Union. Brian, what would you say? What was the time where things got a little tough as you were
Hmm.
creating these businesses? There's always hills and valleys, right? For any entrepreneur. When things got a little tough, what did you do? Maybe explain
Yeah.
something that got tough.
Yeah. So even just now, I mean, to be honest, I'll be frank, it's always going to be tough. I don't know if I've gone through any year where I'm easily um, like making these moves. Like everything is hard and difficult. But I think the most important thing that anyone could take away from this, that I think just best serves everybody in general, is like maybe somebody is like, man, well, this guy's super creative and he's been super creative since he was a kid, and like I've never been creative. I think I could rephrase that and say the most important trait that I might have is that I love to prepare for things, for business and hard situations, but also I love to compete. And so if you love to compete with yourself and others, then you're going to find the means to figure out your niche or to figure out how to do better. So, because like, and some people will say, well, you shouldn't be competing in the art space because it's art, and you should just make art to make art. And in my space, I kind of disagree, because it's like, well, a lot of these DJs are competing for slot times, and they're competing for festival bookings, and they're competing for selling tickets at this concert, right? So like, I kind of look at it now like, well, sadly, it is a competition, and I'm willing to admit that, because I think it is, because we're all fighting for money. And so I think anybody could walk away from this and just know, and just figure out, what are you competing for, and like how are you using that competition as motivation to get the things that you need done, right? And then to go back into the preparation part, is like when you're preparing for, I think I used the UFC analogy in your note. Like when a UFC fighter essentially is getting ready for a fight, they're studying the other camp. They're studying what gets into their head. They're figuring out all their last fights. They're figuring out how, what their diet, cutting weight. They're figuring out, um where the location is in the fight, so they can get accustomed to the weather or elevation, etc. Right? They're putting all these variables into play, so that way when they go fight, they're putting their best foot forward and they're ready for battle. Right? Entrepreneurship, I think, is the same exact thing. So you shouldn't just start a company because you're ready to be a business owner. You should go, in my opinion, I shouldn't tell anybody they should do anything, but in my opinion, um, the best strategy is to go learn skills and try a bunch of things, not care about the outcome, and not compare yourself to someone else. Just go try some things and figure out what works best for you. And so if you like sales, or if you like building websites, or if you like doing marketing or running paid ads, or if you get excited over making a cool t-shirt, lean into that more and try it. And don't care about the outcome. Don't care about how much money you make. Don't go talk about it with any other people. Just go figure out what works best for you. And I think that's just something that I've done really well. And I'm a self-made, proclaimed millionaire at the age of 30. I've had multiple employees. I run multiple companies. I do multiple things. The best thing that served me to get me here with no college education and very poor grades is that I didn't care about the outcome, and I took action on my ideas. And when something felt good, which you're going to know whether or not it feels good for you or not, when something felt good, I doubled down on it. And then over time, I saw a result, and then you're able to compound on your results based off of your preparation. And I wish that was something that a lot more podcasters and influential people talk more about, because a lot of people always talk about, oh, you need to grind super hard and work super hard and how beat your blah blah blah. It's like, I think you just need to prepare better. Like, what does your weekly routine look like? Are you in the gym? Are you drinking a lot? Are you smoking a lot? Are you eating organic food? Are you watching your calories? Are you working with somebody who's a little bit smarter than you, get a little bit better? And so many free resources out there. I feel like at this point, it's almost the easiest time ever to make it. It's just, you know, nailing down what distracts you, kind of staying away from that, being consistent over time. And that's the only difference between me and somebody who's trying to figure out, is that I've spent the last 4 years hammering down what I've prepared for so long to get here. And I think that that's the easiest thing that anybody could take away from this, is that you don't, I grew up with very interesting circumstances, with no money and no help, and a lot of great people who saw something in me and helped me over time when I asked them. But I just prepared well, and I really love to compete with myself and prove myself that I can do it, and then also uh, compete with others.
Yeah, that's wonderful. There's a lot of quotes that we may be using from this interview too, like with the other guests, right?
Okay.
For fun social media posts because they're great. Bri, you're another example of just go out and try. I mean, that's the thing. Failure is literally not trying. That's the easiest definition of failure, is not trying and thinking about what other people think about you, right? What if this doesn't go right? It's in our head. And you're in the epitome of that. Going out and trying it. And as you noted that you're a self-made millionaire, at the same time, I'm sure you found along the way others are just there there's good people out there that want to help you too, like get to where you go by
They're good.
declaring your dream, declaring your interests, whatever it is. People just generally like to help other people. And I'm sure you had some of that along the way too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm constantly giving back and giving people advice or sharing things that I think could help them. Or I mentor a handful of people too that are doing the similar things. But I feel like that's your job. Like, if you gain something awesome and your life's great, like, what's the point? Like, if God gave you a something great, right? Like, you just kind of ruined it if you didn't pass it on. So it's like, there's a lot of people that would love to give back and pass it on. Also too, like, a lot of business owners are they're very proud of themselves, and they love talking about themselves. So if you go and try to if you think, oh, that person might not have a lot of time for me, it's like, that's completely wrong. They love talking about how they got there. It's one of their favorite things to do. They're very into their creations and their things, and they would love to talk about themselves for 30 to an hour, where you can just sit and pick their brain about whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I think that's the trick,
Isn't
is to
that the
stop
truth?
thinking about it. Yeah,
Isn't that the
stop
truth
thinking
with
about it.
that
Just do it.
that podcaster out there many years ago? I'm sure he's still out there, but remember on TikTok or Instagram, he just walked up to people, "What do you do for a living?" In a nice car,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
What do
yeah,
you
yeah. Exactly. Life is a simple
uh
game. You just have to just try, and just try things that make you feel good. Because if you're doing something that you don't like, when it gets hard, you're gonna quit. Or, in my opinion, if you're doing something for just money, when it gets hard, you're gonna quit. But if you love something and it's undeniably like your thing, which the only way to figure that out is to try a bunch of things. Once you figure out what that is, nobody's gonna be able to take it away from you, because you love it so much. And then you're gonna be like, man, for me, because I own an apparel company, we just went through a trade war, right? So for me, I'm like, it is what it is. I'm going to go through the hardest thing I've ever gone through, but I love what I do, and I love the life that it gives me. I'm going to figure it out. But if I didn't like what I did, I would probably quit and just be like, yeah, I'll just go do something else. So I think that part's really important, is to really like what you do, or like bits and pieces of what you do. So that way, when it does get hard, because it will, you can push through it
yeah,
and keep going.
that's so fun and so relatable, right? Um, yeah, there's no question. I've had a passion of teaching young people money for many years. I've had such blessings to impact thousands of people. And like you said, God gives you a skill set, or He gives you something that is um, you're passionate about. If you hold it in just because want to keep it to yourself, that is a really bad disservice. And frankly, you
Mm.
lose a lot of joy, a ton of it,
Yeah.
when you're helping other
Yeah.
people. So Yeah, my
Mhm.
kids know that whenever I'm at a restaurant or wherever, I just happens all the time. I talking to the waiter or waitress, the server. Uh, I just know that they're likely struggling with money, and I just share what I do, and the the eyes get big. Like, really? This is my number one stressor, and I love talking to anybody, anywhere that's relatively young, and say, hey, just I can help you, not because I know it all, but it's just the empathy has grown. It's like a natural response. I get nothing from it. My motive is pure. Your motive is pure. That's the beautiful thing to help people. So,
Yeah,
Bri,
that's what
it's
it's
been a
all about.
blast
There's
having you on Financial Rebellion. The name says it all. Financial rebellion is to rebel against doing things the same old way, not only rebelling against financial education that's not really working, but also rebelling against what we think we have to do based on what the world tells us to do. And
yeah,
you're an example of rebelling in a good way. The word rebel is not a bad word. It's actually a good thing to rebel against and question a lot of things that we maybe have been told to do.
cool.
And so again, thank you for having us on. This is any parting comments for someone who is just on the fence to go after something they desire, but just need a little nudge to maybe start a simple side hustle. Any final parting
Yeah.
words of encouragement?
Um, is that it always works out in the end, but just make sure you like it before you do it. Make sure it's something that you really want to do or take a gamble on before you go in. Also, you realize that even if it doesn't work, something else is going to come up and you're going to be like, wow, I'm so happy that I tried this because now that I tried this, I figured out that I like this more. It's crazy how it's all designed, like just the human experience in general, like just putting in effort, whether that's with, friends or business or family or anything, your fitness, your health, your nutrition. It's like if you just put in effort to do it and to apply action, that's where the answers come. Like no one can fix your problems or solutions on a podcast or a YouTube video or you know nobody's going to be able to change you. It's just literally you doing it and just thinking to yourself, I'm done overthinking this. I'm just going to try it. And there's a silly quote that I always like that, and I don't think I'm a dumb person, but there's a silly quote that people always say, like, the only people that are super successful or the only people who have all this success are the ones dumb enough to try it, right? I've heard that so many times over the years, and I always think, like, you're right, I just always try stuff. And, like, to be honest, sometimes I fail and fall short, and, you know, I have to learn from that. Like this whole process of getting here hasn't been like this. Oh, I run a business and I have employees and I travel the world and make songs, and shoot up 6,000 feet in the sky and make music and then swim with sharks. It's like there's a lot of things that have come with that I've had to overcome and deal with as like a grown adult, but also a boss. Right? There's been a lot of things that I've had to overcome and accomplish to do those things, and so, but because I love them, I'm willing to power through it, right? And so, for anybody listening, just try it. And then, if you ever want to DM me or DM Todd, I'm sure he's ready to help you out and kind of get you going. But just start somewhere and take a small win, or small wins add up to one, or small wins add up to big wins, and just do one brick at a time.
Awesome. Hey, why don't you do a shout out of your social media so they can see on the shark video? So
Yeah,
shout out some of your socials for our listeners so they can follow you to see some pretty cool things.
cool. It's just propaganda with two P's on all platforms, so easy to find. And then if you want to watch the YouTube set, um, it's Sonar Sessions with propaganda. So if you type Sonar Sessions, it's the first thing that pops up. It's
Sonar
it's doing really
Sessions
well.
and propaganda with two P's after PRO,
Yep,
right?
exactly. Yep.
Awesome.
So yeah, I appreciate you,
Fantastic.
man. You're awesome, and you've always been great to be around, and I'm proud of you for doing this for everybody. And just thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Bri. And I would be remiss to not say this. Bri was responsible for me getting into the sphere a couple years ago with a
Oh yeah,
UFC fight ticket. And I am not a UFC fan in general because I not a I'm not real big, as my kids know, on violence. And even though it's not super violent, you had an extra ticket. You said, Mr. Romer, you are not paying me back. This is yours. It's an extra ticket. And I went in and then I found out how much the ticket cost, which I'm not going to even share on this podcast. It was a lot of money. You are super generous, man.
Yeah, thanks.
You're finding out, just like anyone else, when you have money, and if you just keep it to yourself, boy, that becomes a sad, sad life. So you
Yeah.
blessed a lot of people along the way, man, which is really fun too.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that could be something too we could go on a tangent on, but um, it's just important to give back, plain and simple. It's important to pass on things that have been given to you, and it's important to help other people out. You know, we could focus on the things that we hate the most about the world and the government and the things that are going on that we don't agree with, or we can just be a good person and help people that are within our reach and just do that. And I think that will compound better over time than focusing on the negative stuff, you know. So I just try to be a light anywhere I'm at. I'm always trying to help.
Amen. Amen to that, brother. Appreciate your time, Bri. So
Yeah.
fun having you on this week's episode of Financial Rebellion. We are thrilled to bring you this type of content. We'll be bringing more every week. And we again appreciate our sponsors, Acorns, and our credit union partners. It's been a lot of fun, Bri. All right,
Cool.
Rebels out. We'll see you next week with the Financial Rebellion podcast.